The Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. And we have a special interview here today as August approaches Celtics camp a little bit closer. And
Yes,
I'm
sir.
thrilled to be talking to Jay Scrubb. A lot of Celtics fans have been asking me about Jay Scrubb. How's he doing? What's the latest? Could he be back this year? And he's here to talk about all that and how the last year's been for him. Jay, welcome in.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, my man.
So, how are you physically? How are you doing? How close are you to being back on the court? Just where did things stand with your recovery? Obviously, you tore your ACL last October and knocked you out for this past
hmm
season. Where are you at in your recovery? How close are you to getting back on the floor?
So right now I'm at about 80% in my recovery. I still got a little ways to go. Still got some things to clean up, but what people don't know, it's not physically that gets you. It's more mentally. So just battling the mental part has been the hardest part this year. It's just being in a good position of where I was in last year, and then having a freak injury like that. It just it crushes you mentally. But like having all the people I've had around me in my corner, even the Celtics people, the Celtics organization, just reaching out to me and making sure I'm all right and everything that I need, I have it. So it's been good. That's been helping me mentally, and that helps physically as well. Like the mental part takes over the physical part.
Yeah, and that was something I heard after you went down is that you were going to be close to the team, be doing some rehab around the team, even though they had to let you go off the deal after the injury. What was that like, just being able to be in the facility and have that support once you suffered the injury?
I mean, even though I wasn't, on the deal, I still felt like, I was a part of the team because I was there and, the relationships that I had built and then, just being there, you still feel like you're a part of the organization. So like, it gave me the motivation to want to get back and, to be right there with those guys. So, that's it's just motivation, like I said.
Yeah, and what goes into this? Have you been through a recovery quite like this before? And what kind I know you talked the mental part's a big component here, but what were you going through physically? What's that process like of coming back from an ACL tear?
So this is my first time tearing my ACL. I had two minor surgeries. I had one on my big toe for turf toe, and I had one on my pinky toe, which was like a fifth metatarsal tear. And it's just, like I said, it's just the mental part, just being away from the game for the first time. It just crushed me. I didn't really know how to feel, but just having the support, it really takes over that, and that really brought me back. And it's tough. It's tough physically, but the harder you work, the more you build yourself up. To better yourself.
Yeah, and so let's throw it back to a year ago at this time. You're with the summer league team. You have a pretty standout slate there in Vegas. You're in the two-way deal. A lot of fans were excited about you going in the last year, and you showed a lot of your scoring prowess during that summer league slate with the team out there. When you signed with Boston for camp last year, what were you looking forward to? What were you hoping to accomplish with Boston last year? And it kind of take me back to 1 year ago, like where you were in your game, you felt like in your career.
I would say I was the most confident in my career like I've ever been. Like I was having the success that I was having, just coming in and working every day, like putting the work in, like it was really showing. And, the success was showing and that's all. Like I just try to let the work take over and just get in the gym every day, twice a day, whether it's three times a day, doing what I gotta do, sacrificing. And that was the biggest thing. Like it paid off, all the sacrifice that just being in the gym, it really paid off.
Yeah, and what was it like being around that team early on, before the injury? Obviously a team that was on the verge of winning a championship. You got Tatum
Yeah.
there, you got Brown there. What was it like competing with those guys, day in and day out early on and just being around that team?
No, it was great. It was great just being around the guys, being able to compete. It was crazy. Just being up close. Those are guys that I watched. I watched Tatum when he was at Duke. I watched Brown when he was at Cal. I watched those guys, when they was at college, even in high school. Like so, it was crazy just being able to compete with them, being up close, and just learning from them and things like that. And I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, were there any moments that stood out or just, memories you have of that camp and being around those guys? Did you feel it was a special group when you were a part of it early on?
Yeah, nah, I could definitely feel like we was on to something early on, and it was going to be a really good year, and it showed.
Yeah, and what happened? Was it a practice? What happened when you suffered the injury? Looking back on it, it was early October, right?
Yep, early October. So it was actually, I would say, the last day of training camp. It was the probably, I would say, one of the fewer plays, the last plays, closer to the end of practice, and we was going through, like, I would say, a five on five with the coaches, and I had just went to the rim and I had dunked and I had came down and just landed awkward, and I ended up tearing my ACL, which I felt it immediately. I knew it was something.
Yeah, and what goes through your mind in that moment?
It's just tough. It's just tough being in a position that, like, I didn't really feel the physical. Like, at that moment, it was just more mental. Just like, I'm about to have to be away from the game again. I'm about to have to go through what I went through the last two times being away, not being able to walk, just having to learn to walk again. Like, it's just crazy, and that's just what was going through my mind. Like immediately, just all those things, the rehab process, being away from the game, just all those things.
Who did you lean on through that process? Is there anyone in particular you felt like helped you get through day to day? Was anyone motivating you? Who do you think was the person you felt like helped you most through the past year?
Well, I would definitely say my family. I was my family first, and my agent. He definitely helped me. He was in my corner every step of the way. Like, he helped me whatever I needed. Even when I couldn't walk, he was coming to Boston and helping me. Bring groceries in, bring different stuff that I need, give me the rehab stuff like that. And then I would say third is the Celtics organization. Like, they really helped me throughout that process, just being there for me, allowing me to use the facility, allowing me to come up there every day. And still, I'm not a part of the team at the time, but like, still be myself, come up there and just be in the locker room with the guys, be around the guys and things like that. Like, that just shows, like, how much they care for people.
Yeah, who'd you hear from the team after it happened that said, you're going to be able to stay around the facility, you're going to still be close to the team here, and we're still going to support you through this?
I talked to Brad. I sat down and talked to Brad, like, right, like, a week after it happened. I talked to Brad. I talked to Joe. I talked to a lot of the guys. They was just telling me, like, I'm more than welcome, and the trainers was allowing me to come in and get rehab and things like that. So it just went hand in hand, and you know.
What was it like getting to know Joe early on in the process and even throughout the year? Yeah, how much were you able to talk to him and just get to know him and his coaching style?
No, he was an interesting guy. Like, I didn't really get to, like, talk to him like that much because I got hurt early on. But the times that I did get to talk to him, it just really, like, allowed me to open up to the Celtics organization, just be myself, like, and that really helped me just, like, come out of my shell.
Yeah, and did you get close to any of the other players through, whether it was the summer league process? I know Jordan
Mhm.
was out there with you guys and some of
For
the other,
sure.
JD. Is anyone you've grown close to on the team since you've been around them going back to last
Yeah,
summer?
well, really, everybody on the team really gels together. It's not really like one guy's close to one guy. It's like everybody on the team, and that's what's crazy. It's like not all organizations is like that. You got some guys that they might be getting paid this amount of money, so they might feel a certain type of way. But, like, everybody treats everybody the same there. I would say more the younger guys, though. Like, I adapted to the younger guys when I was there because we played summer league and we had summer workouts together. I adapted to the younger guys, but, like, everybody really.
Yeah, and they just got to go through another summer league. Jordan, JD
Hmm.
going through another there. How much were you able
Yeah.
to watch those guys and see the strides they've made compared to a year ago? Obviously, Jordan was able to go through the G League process last year at 19 and,
Yeah.
you know, make some strides. JD still trying to find his footing in this league. What do you see out of some of those guys that you played with last summer compared to where they were then?
Man, they made tremendous strides, and it's just crazy to see, like, how young Jordan Walsh is, and how much he's developed and how much better he's gotten, and his body's, like, he's gotten way bigger and things like that. And JD, like, he's shooting the three ball better. Like, he's just improvement. He's just improving, and that's all you can really ask for in the league. It's just, like, especially on a two way, like, you just want to see guys develop and improve, and that's what he's doing.
Go to the Game Time app and create an account today, our official ticket marketplace, where you're going to get the best deals. And some of the best deals are right up until or even after game time. Uh, Create an account, use the code CLNS Again, CLNS for $20 off your first purchase over there. Terms apply. You got baseball going on, of course, WNBA. You want to go see a game down in Connecticut, or concerts and events. I used it on Hiatus Coyote over the weekend, so I got a great deal over there, and you can too. And if you use the code CLNS, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply. Yeah, and we're still a couple months from camp here. Obviously, you said you're going to get going in the near future here physically. What's the plan for this year? I know Corey and the agency there tweeted out that you'll be back with Boston this year, competing for a spot in training camp. What's the plan going into this year? When did you find out that was going to be a possibility for you?
Well, just being around the team, like I said, being them extending the invite to me coming and get my rehab in and at the facility and things like that, it's just, it just like brought up the invitation to just come back for training camp, seeing how hard I worked and seeing how, dedicated I am to getting back. That's it right there.
Yeah, and what'd that mean to you when you've heard you were going to be able to come back and compete again?
It mean everything just to be in the position that I was in last year and be able to pick up from that. Like it means everything to me. Just all the work that I've put in over the summer. Like I busted my butt to get in this position, and I'm ready to show it.
For sure, and I don't know how much people know about your journey here in Boston. I want to get back into that a little bit. Obviously, it's been a long, winding journey between the JUCO path you took and the injury now. Looking back on, the way you were able to make the league, coming from the junior college route and, being a guy who got drafted second round. How do you look back on that journey so far and where it's led you to now? And what did it mean to kind of take that long, difficult path to the league, compared to more of a typical one?
No, for sure. I've always really took the longer route in life. Like, I started playing like high school basketball my junior year. So like, it was very difficult for me to, really go through the front door. So like I've always had to really like, work a lot harder, do a lot more. So it's just in my nature and it just became who I am at this point, and I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. And just being this is my fourth year in the NBA coming from where I came from. So like, I just take it every day and just work and just keep working.
Yeah, and I was thinking back 2020, that draft. I remember Celtics draft Neesmith that year. Pritchard comes in, and there was so much talk about how weird that draft was, that draft
Yeah.
process with the COVID, and it
Hmm.
was a different date for the draft. I think it was closer to the fall, and it was just a crazy time. And so
Yeah.
you're going into the draft process as that's all going on. What do you remember about what that was like for you, and how it changed, what it was like to be a part of the draft process that year? Not being able to work out for teams in
Hmm.
person, having the draft at a different date, being so long
Yeah.
since the college season ended. What do you remember about that?
Man, it was crazy because my season ended up getting cut short. We were supposed to my junior college season ended up getting cut short. We were supposed to go to the championship, the playoffs, and things like that, but it ended up getting cut short because of COVID. And throughout that process, I ended up getting COVID. So like when I was supposed to have workouts with teams, I had to cancel because the COVID issue and things like that. So it was an interesting process. It was an interesting process, but we made it here. So.
Yeah, and what was draft night like for you? Did you know you were gonna get selected? Were you waiting late at night? Where were you watching it?
Well, if you would have asked me, I thought I was going lottery. A lot of teams, a lot of teams, around that time is telling you things that you want to hear, and then it comes to that pick, and they pick somebody else. So, after about the first round, I just just sat back and let it come to me, and we received the call around the 55th pick, and it was the best feeling ever.
Are you one of those guys? Can you name everyone that went ahead of you? Like, do you use that as
That's a lot of
motivation?
that's a lot of names. That's a lot of names right there. That's a lot of names. But if I see their face, I know them though.
Yeah, what was it like going to the Clippers initially? Obviously, a team that was in a really good position at that time,
Mhm.
starting your career there and, being able to be around whether it was a Rajon Rondo or Ty Lue, the
Right.
coach, or, some of the other guys who were on that team. What was that year like for you, your rookie year?
Just another great organization where I was just, coming from the situation that I was coming from. It was a perfect situation for me. Like I was able to sit back, learn. I was young. I had a lot of great vets that was willing to, open up and let me know how, the ropes went and how the NBA went and how, what it takes to be an NBA player, what it takes to really be a professional. And that was the biggest thing for me. And I appreciate, the Clippers for taking me with the 55th pick. And, you know,
Do you remember your first NBA game, the first game you were able to get into?
my first NBA game, I believe it was with the Hornets. It was against the Hornets. It was against the Hornets. Well, actually, it might have been in Toronto when they was moved to
Toronto, you got
Tampa.
it.
Yeah, come on now. It was in Toronto.
Do you remember who was on the floor with you when you got in the game?
I don't remember. I want to say it was probably the younger guy, probably Brandon Boston, Mir Coffee, probably some of those guys. I don't
Yeah,
really remember. What was it, about 4 years ago?
yeah, 2021, May 11th. You had Terrence
Yeah.
Mann in there. Rondo was in there. There were some guys coming
Rondo,
up, but
yeah, my guy Rondo was in there. Yeah, I gotta remember that. Rondo was definitely in there. Yeah,
Luke Kennard as well as Ivica Zubac. So you
that
were
was the
able to get in there
comeback.
with some of the regulars.
That was the comeback crew right there against the Wizards right there.
Yeah. What was it like being around Rondo? A guy who had been around the league and won a championship with the Celtics and Lakers, and obviously one of the better point guards ever we've seen.
Crazy to just be able to pick his brain. You know what I'm saying? Him being a Louisville native, him being where I'm from, it's just crazy. Like how we ended up on the same team. It was like a perfect scenario, and him just taking me in and on the road trips, just bringing me with him on different places and things like that. Even when we was in LA, I would come to his house and watch film, things like that. Eat dinner, eat breakfast, go to practice together, and things like that. That really helped me come out of my shell as well.
Yeah, what do you pull from a guy like that? Is it just habits or the way he acts or parts of his game?
Everything. It's everything. Just everything. Like he's literally like the standard. Like coming from where I come from, you know what I'm saying? He has a championship. He's a champion. He's been there before. He has the knowledge. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so what are your goals, your aspirations for this year? What do you want to be able to do coming back from the injury? Do you have like a vision for how this year will go for you, or you just sort of in a day by day stage still?
The biggest thing for me is just health. Just being healthy. Like that's the most important thing. Is just making sure I get through this year healthy and just listen to my body. Whenever it tells me, go get in the ice bath or go get a massage. You just make sure I listen to it, and that's the biggest thing for me. It's just making sure I get through this year healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you're going to be back around a championship team. They're going to have the ring night going on. How special is that? Because obviously, everybody talks about its championship, its championship.
Hmm.
To be that close to that level of a team and see what they're doing day in and day out, and uh, just take in that whole run while you're rehabbing. What are some things you notice? What are like the things that stood out about that team and that made them championship caliber? You feel like?
Just the work ethic, just like everybody, just every night in and night out, just working. Some days you're not gonna feel the best. Some days you're probably not gonna want to, but just pushing through. And that's been the biggest thing for me is in this rehab process. Some days, I might not, my knee might not feel the best, or my legs might not feel the best, but I got to push through in order to get to the main goal.
Yeah, and were you able to see the parade? What where were you able to take that
I
in
was I
from?
was at home. I was at home, but I was able to see the parade online. It was nice. It was nice, man. I love it for him, man. I love it for the city of Boston. I love it for them. It's been a while since they won a championship, so it's good for the city.
Yeah, how locked in were you to the whole run? Were you watching every game? Were you be able to be at any of the games? What was that like?
I was in Boston for about 2 months after my rehab, and then I made a decision to come back home because it was just best for me. Like I had my guys back home that I was able to work with, so I was able to watch, but I wasn't like up close, at the games and things like that. But I was still, like pretty much there with the guys.
Yeah, for sure. And we're looking forward to seeing you, everything you're going to bring this training camp, wishing you the best with your health and all of that. And hopefully being able to make this team out of camp. And I'm sure that's a big goal of yours. Obviously,
For sure.
alongside the health is just, getting back into the NBA at this point. How excited are you to touch the floor for the first time? What do you think that's going to be like?
Man, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm itching. I'm itching thinking about it right now.
Well, he is Jay Scrubb once again. He'll be taking part in training camp with the Celtics this year, competing for a spot. coming back from the ACL tear. Great to hear from you, man. Glad to see you're doing well. Looks like you're in good spirits. I think everyone was
Yes,
curious
sir.
about how you were doing. So that's awesome to see, man. I appreciate you taking the time here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. We coming back.